Welcome to Nostalgia Pilots, a Gundam 8th MS team fan cast that's okay as long as you forget the secret stuff after you're done. I'm Hugh.
I'm Jurd.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Spence.
And we're here to talk about Episode 7, Reunion.
And why you shout "I love you" when you think you're going to die.
Oh, we'll get to that. But we open with some very 70s Feddies, or actually, what are they, Zeons? No, sorry.
Yes.
The opening Feddie suits that are coming in. Those orange and white, and they look like a lesser class of mobile suit.
Yeah, they're like the cheap, like, mass-produced Gundams.
Yeah, they look like the GoBots of the Gundam universe is what's going on right there. And the best part is they're basically taken down by a dude who drives a Jeep with no sleeves. Like,
yes, we do open with Officer Gun Show.
And by the way, I love how he has the machismo piloting stance, where he doesn't uncross his arms the entire time he's in the command seat of this vehicle. Like, he's just riding this way, complaining as he murders people.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta get your kicks somewhere.
Like, it wasn't super clear in the dub. Like, did he set off the nuke?
yeah, he knew the nuke was coming. He was like very nonchalant about, they're coming, and he no warning to his men, no like, you guys want to get down on this? No.
Yeah, he's like, oh, by the way, you have 2 minutes.
Because in the dub, he says something along the lines, like someone says something to him about it, and he just goes, screw it. The Feddies can have this crap town anyway, and like just lets it blow up.
Yeah,
like,
In the dub, he's just like, in the sub, he's just like, yeah, the Feddies can have this stupid doomed ball of rock. Let's go back to space.
But what we absolutely need to discuss here is the Dracula cape that he throws on, because he comes in like he's ready to.
No, he's got like his assistant holding the cape out for him, and he just leans back into it.
This dude is straight out of Fist of the North Star. Every turn, he's got no sleeves, and then he goes into the cape. He's ready to punch some fingers into a dude's chest.
Does he have Velcro on his clothes? That's what I want to know, because that's the only way that cape would have stayed on with that little effort.
Well, it's held on by machismo, and we all know the power of machismo can mean life or death.
So can the power of love. But also, I feel like I should have a Gundam fashion cast at this point, so that I can shout at all the terrible things that are wrong with the fashion.
Yes.
We'll have to have an entire episode geared towards tassels and why they're wrong.
Like I feel like he actually was like talking to his assistant, and he was like, "Well, I need to rock the sleeveless look, but we're in Russia now, and my arms get cold."
Well, we could get you a cape, sir.
Can I get matching aviators that go with the cape?
Yes, sir. Anything you want.
Yeah, right away, sir. Now, what would have made it awesome is if he actually still had the epaulets on the shoulders, but with no sleeves. Like,
Yes.
Yeah. So as he's pulling out, we do get a quick shot of and I needed to shout this out, an aquatic Zaku, which I had to go and look up. It's actually the MSM-03 GOG.
Oh yeah, the one with like the Wolverine claw arms.
Yeah, exactly. So
the pre-cancers.
Beautiful. Yeah, the pre-cancer, exactly.
Oh man,
it's not a tumor.
Yeah, but
anyway,
we do get a lot of gloriously 70s vehicles this episode.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic. But weirdly, all of this is like the opening. This happens in the first, minute of the show, and the rest of it has nothing to do with this opening.
It's just sort of like here's how the war is going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we get after then we get a quick flashback to what happened last episode. And that's when, and I will tell you right now, this episode lost me right here. When it focused on these two at the culmination of that clash of theirs, I was just like, yeah, I'm ready for this episode to be over. Like, I was into it with Mr. Gun Show, blowing up a town. All of that was interesting. And then this subplot, main story, love thing just...
Well, you kind of knew it was going to come back because of the way that the show started.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, they've been kind of hinting that it was coming up with all the comments from other characters, specifically the kid whose name is escaping me right now.
Michael.
No, not Michael. The one from the gorilla troops.
Oh, Kiki.
Kiki. So with Kiki going, "You're unrequited love," da 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 da, talking about the watch. It was kind of like a, hey, this is going to come up soon.
Yeah, we need to keep
Kiki, the girl who delivers them things.
Yes. Secretly pines after the main character, even though she's a minor.
So last episode, we had left Shiro basically clinging precariously to the exterior of... What's the name of that experimental craft again? It's such a dumb name. Absolus. Absolutely stupid. Anyway, so... and so Shiro's idea of safety, because he's going to apparently climb out as they're in the middle of the sky, whatever, fine. And his idea of safety is to strap himself to a robot, which is barely precariously clinging to the side of this stupid ship in the first place. Like, what good is that rope going to do you? Actually, I was just waiting for the Gundam to slip off and him to go tumbling to the earth and die.
I was waiting for Apoxia to set in.
Fair.
What was his actual thought process? So you're clinging to a crashing ship. You get out of the crashing ship onto the side in the middle of the cold Arctic or wherever you are, and you want them to get out of their safely warm cockpit because you think it's the person you thought you heard? Like, what?
I like that she does bring her gun. Like, we do get a good shot of her, like...
Yeah.
Just in case.
I also like that, for whatever reason, at least in the dub, they constantly refer to each other by their full names. They never... It takes forever for them to use just, like, single names. And so throughout it, it's like, Shiro Yamada, or whatever his name is. And then he calls in response.
Dude, it was just like, it's like all soldiering and just logical sense goes out of the window at the mere thought that this could be her in that machine. He's worse than Relina. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like, Shiro has a lot of dumb ideas this episode that also, like, kind of somehow work out because Aina saves his ass.
Yeah, like, it's just wow. Like, and then like, when he does things like this, now you know exactly why none of them wanted him as their commander at first. Like you can see why old girl was very, very against this young commander. Because you're just like, what on earth could possess you to think it was safe to cling to the side of a thing in the Arctic? Also, how did they get to the Arctic from Vietnam? I don't know.
I think they're just in a high mountain.
I think they're in the Himalayas or something.
Yeah. So they managed to crash out, and then we discover that Feddie parts and Zeon parts are basically all sold by Intel, so they're cross-compatible, and they're able to just basically repair each other's ships. It's not a big deal. It's actually a lot like when IBM was selling parts to the Germans during World War II, but let's not discuss that. Anyway.
Doesn't this make him a traitor? Like, if he doesn't, like, detain her or, like, I don't know, stop her from repairing this secret weapon, like, doesn't that make him a traitor?
Well, as Hugh...
Technically speaking.
Yeah, as Hugh hinted in the opening, they keep going back and forth about, like, oh, this is highly secret tech, I really shouldn't show you. Well, you just forget after this is done, or you just close your eyes and don't look too close.
Like, these guys are soldiering like Ernest P. World Save Christmas. Like, it just makes no sense. Like,
yeah, well, it especially doesn't make sense when Shiro has that little flashback dream and then wakes up. Oh, I suppose that's a little later on, right? That's after they actually try to crash
so,
it.
like Shiro helps, like, uses his retro booster so that the big giant shoulder pad doesn't just completely crash, like it only a little crashes.
Like, and the worst part is, like, he could have saved himself. Like, he had enough propellant to just be like, deuces. He was fine. But when you try to get, I don't know, a Chevy Nova to tow a Mack truck, like, bad things happen.
Yeah, well, Shiro gets a little overexcited in the moment, and, I think we've all said things while the broken body of our Gundam grips and grinds the curves of the alien spaceship bearing down on us, but I love you, that's a big step.
Yeah.
I was literally sitting in my chair watching this episode, kind of just not. Because I got the dub one, so I'm not actually looking at it because I'm also like rearranging stuff in my room. And that happens, and I literally pause and look up and go, "What?"
Because they've had maybe a total of 10 minutes of interaction.
That is my exact thing. Is my notes are WTF, I love you. You don't even know her. Did he lose the watch when he ejected? Because that was a lot in 5 minutes.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
And it's like he's I feel this is doomed to fail because he has this ideation of her, and it's not going to live up to the hype.
And
it's just not.
And it gets proceedingly worse because she somehow he manages to stop her from crashing a lot and only a little. He then ejects from the Gundam.
Because his Gundam falls off a cliff.
Yeah, because his falls off a cliff. It couldn't hold on for some reason. After all of this, it couldn't hold on.
Well, it lost an arm.
Yeah, it did.
So he tumbles to the bottom of the cliff, and he's basically clinging to his overwarm engines for heat. And she manages to defer the search party that's come looking for her, so she can go find Shiro.
By literally turning off the radio.
Yeah. Like, she could have just been like, she could have pieced out as well. She could have been like, yep, I'm at this location. No, the Gundam crashed. I'm pretty sure the pilot's dead. We don't need to look for him.
Or take him as a prisoner.
Yeah.
He's literally the commander of a unit of your enemy. He's full of intel.
Instead, they end up at the bottom of the cliff in the shattered Gundam, basically trying to use it as a survival device, at which point they work together to turn on the laser sword and turn it into, surprise, surprise, the through line of this show is skinny dipping.
Yep. And also, I will mention that they do use good survival technique, because they're like, we need to get your hands in some water so that they won't thaw out too quickly.
Sure.
I appreciated that. I did not appreciate we did skip a little cutscene that they had where the brother, he's Captain what's his face Norris, is like, sir, shouldn't we go searching for Miss Ina? And he's like, the Absalom will be fine. So either the brother has complete faith in or disregard of Ina, and you kind of see that she knows that.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, too, because Norris has a little reaction, too. Like, he's a little upset by his indifference as well.
Yeah.
See, what?
Like, and we see that at the end where he's like, oh, the weather cleared up. I'm going to go find your sister. And he's just like,
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to turn around from this screen.
See, that's what gets me about this whole thing. Because Shiro says, he later on, or after he wakes up, accuses her of having a boyfriend again because he sees her and the brother standing next to one another in the locket or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I don't have a boyfriend. So her answer to that, like her counter to him thinking she has a boyfriend, is not to say that's my brother, but it's to kiss him. And then we see the brother for the first time after that with his dismissal. And with the second dismissal he does later on, I'm like, so is he a spurned lover and not her brother? Because wait for it. Wouldn't you show, I don't know, any concern? Like
yeah.
The way
not if you're a sociopath.
Like in the sub, it does sort of like do a little bit of a time skip, and then at one point Shiro's like, "Oh, that's your brother. That makes sense. That's fine."
I'm just like, come on, Gundam. We don't need any weird anime tropes right now. We don't need none of that. We don't need none of the you're the best big brother ever. Tee-hee. We don't need none of that.
Yeah. Well, Shiro brings the creep by himself by being like, "You're so beautiful. You're just like a living doll."
I love that she fucking called him on that shit. She's like, I'm no one's doll.
But yeah, like she like they both have flashbacks this episode, and hers is like the point where she sort of gets recruited to help her brother in this program. And the phrase that they use in the sub is, Aina, I need you to be my arms and legs.
That's
and then
the dub too.
Yeah, and then we sort of see like this image where like she loses her limbs fade to black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like really effective that like she like is in this sort of situation where she needs to keep her brother alive, and the only way she can do that is by being useful to him as a pilot.
One thing that kind of kills me though is like there was some animation around her as he's trying to talk to Aina, and she's got like the sparkly snow bits, and it looks like she's gonna break into song, you know, like a princess or a magic girl. Yeah. And Shiro stops it twice, and I'm like, "Fuck you, Shiro! Let her have her moment."
She looked like she was doing a Sailor Moon transform.
Yeah, well,
and then it kept getting truncated. Yeah,
or the Disney princess, you know, spotlight on them. I have a dream, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, don't worry, because she gets a full-on Frozen moment that is then curtailed into Creep Town, because as much as she defends herself about not being someone's doll, she like does a quadruple backflip into Terrible Town by stripping naked and screwing this guy in this makeshift hot spring.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like, where did, like, the logic of these characters, like, their interactions are insane.
But, I mean, if you were put in that situation where you just had a near-death experience with someone who is both your mortal enemy and someone you've been fantasizing about for a while, and then all of a sudden you get to have hot naked time in a hot spring, what are you gonna do with all those endorphins? You're gonna have some sex.
I'm going to argue that at least she's making some choices with her life, and she's not just relegated to him macking on her and then maybe relenting.
Oh, so are we going back to Relina and Hero?
Yeah, I think there's...
Is that a hero burn?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
He may require a wrench after that one.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But I'll play devil's advocate. What the hell is he gonna do with those damn hands of his? Not a fuck thing.
He even says that. He says, "I can't do much with these hands, can I?" And I'm like, "Well, you ain't getting no sex from me."
I'm like, what is he gonna do with those hands? Nothing. That's what he's gonna do. Nothing.
Yeah, well, you know, she's been told what to do by male figures all her life. Maybe there's a kink in that, and that she just wants him to be incapacitated. Who knows?
Well, there's I could get into other stuff, but I'm like, probably shouldn't, because that would change the rating of this show.
Yeah, maybe that brings us to favorite moments.
Oh, God.
Well, I do just want to talk about a little bit at the end where the two rescue parties show up and they start fighting each other.
Oh yeah.
Rather than rescuing anybody.
Like the original Gundam had a great sense of the pride each faction had, right? Like we knew why the Earth forces didn't like Zeon. We knew why Zeon wanted to be liberated from Earth. You know, it's a common thing. Like no taxation without representation, right? Like, why should we be entangled to this thing that we are now independently from, basically? Only thing that's holding us is words and paper. Like, that was fine. Like, Char was a tangible character. You understood his philosophy and ideals and everything. But these guys are just fighting each other for why? Like, if your commander's sister, the pilot of this extremely secret new weapon that could turn the tide of the war, is in your grasp to be rescued, who gives a shit if 2 jet planes are flying around? Like, save this lady first. Like
I think that one of the things Gundam does really well is it shows the effect that war has on people. So we're sort of like in the tail end of the war. Things are going badly for Zeon. They're losing cities. Like everyone's sort of like tired and angry, and they've lost their heads, and that shows that. But the thing that Gundam is pretty bad about is showing like why people go to war in the first place. Henry Kissinger never sat in a rose-scented hot tub thinking, a war would make humanity stronger.
Although Henry Kissinger did decide at one point if that child on the edge of a pool lived or died. Basically.
Well, if someone told me Henry Kissinger did that, I'd believe them 100%.
I think one of the favorite things that I have so far is that I haven't seen any repeat animation thus far.
Yeah.
In the show. And we got a lot of that in the first Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
But I have yet to see any of it.
In fact, my favorite thing is obviously the GOG we see early on in the episode. Mm-hmm. And to mention it is how far out of their way they go to show you something that's a little different and interesting. And like, there's 2 seconds of that GOG, and you know, somebody obviously took the time to look up the reference for it, but it's only there for half a second and then it's gone. So yeah, I absolutely appreciate that, because in Wing, it would have just been like another shot of a lonely circus that we've seen 6 times or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. The circus that has no name is only circus.
What was your favorite item, Banks?
The end credits? I test this episode almost as much as the episode in the beginning of the show where he molests a girl in the river. Like, this was so asinine. Like, just, like... And the worst part was it's literally a rehash of the very first 2 episodes where he goes off in the ball and finds her nearly dead in that derelict spaceship and forces her basically forces her into staying alive with duct tape. Except in this instance, she's the one forcing him to stay alive because he was just literally going to fall asleep in the cold. He was literally going to fall asleep in the cold and probably die of hypothermia.
We might have all been better for it.
So, what unlikely survival scenario will the 2 of them find themselves in next? Desert Island? They might do a like reverse of fortune. So like she gets captured by the Feddies, he gets captured by the rebels, and they have to do a swap.
Prisoner exchange?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I would wager.
I'm hoping that the Joker will capture them both and then force somebody to make the decision of who lives and who dies.
I think Elidor is going to show up with all of his radio music money and just be like, war's over, bitches. Music and love is everything we need.
Like, it's just... like, can we get back to Big Robot Smashy, please?
Yeah,
all right.
please.
And Hugh, what was your favorite moment?
Okay, I think my favorite moment is one that we kind of skipped over, but like after Shiro passes out from hypothermia because he like takes out his survival blanket and immediately loses it. Like he has like this flashback about what happened to him in the colony, like how, like, which we only just heard about a little bit from them talking about, he got this medal for being in this colony action. But he has this dream sequence where he's like in the very 70s space colony and Bizaku bursts in and shoots like a missile that like goes right past him and then like fills the colony with some kind of poison gas. And it's just I think it's very effective. Like it does the whole thing where like he watches a guy die and like he gets the blood on his stormtrooper helmet like Finn in Force Awakens.
Are you trying to say he's Finn?
No, I'm trying to say that Finn is plagiarizing.
Finn would have been a more interesting character in this scene.
Are we sure that that's a memory, or is that a fear, like fear of war, or what?
I totally felt like that was a memory from when he was getting off the colonies, like previous to the start of the show.
Like, yeah, I think that's what got him his commission.
And why he wakes up screaming, "I hate Zeon!"
And then Judo throws Aina from a laying position.
Look. He, with those frostbitten hands, he has the power. Listen, he has the power of boners, and it gave him. It gave him the strength to do what we don't.
I have not watched that anime yet, but I've seen screenshots of it.
There are gifts. It's fine.
Yeah, we don't know really, but it's fine. Can we get back to the awesome other two of his crew, the wonderful lady and the man who thinks he's going to kill his whole crew? I want to spend more time with them, please. Thank you.
Yes, more. I want a Karen and Sanders show.
Yeah, me too. But like in that sequence, there's also like this perfect shot of like that really 70s like orange colony dune buggy thing.
Oh, yeah.
And we see one of those get like sucked out into space. I was like, oh my god.
It looks like a Fiat, honestly.
Space Fiat, yes. By the way, anything can be made better when you put space in front.
Yes.
Oh man, just.
All right. So, does anyone else have any thoughts? We've gotten everybody's.
I'm out.
Favorite parts.
Yeah.
And that's all we have to say about that. People are at war and they're mad about it.
Yeah.
But love can conquer it all. Don't they know that?
Look, we all remember Macross. Do you remember love? Much better than this. No, seriously. I swear to God, if she turns out to be a pop star and starts singing at some point, I'm done with this shit. I'm so done.
When has that happened in a Gundam series before? Please stop looking at Seed.
By the way, they remastered that in HD. It's on Hulu, by the way.
Yeah, it's on Crunchyroll too.
I was gonna say Gem and the Holograms is on Hulu.
Truly outrageous.
Oh gosh.
Totally outrageous.
That's proud.
You can find this podcast and notes to all of our stuff over at nostalgiapilots.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/nostalgiapilots. And my work is over at hughjodonald.com.
You can find mine at skinner.fm.
You can find me at nerdswithvoices.com.
And you can find me at resonantmoon.com.
So until next week, I swear I'm taking you all to space.
What happened to that pilot? He's dead.